let me start with this. There are many things that I genuinely do like about Rand Paul. In fact, there's more things that I like about him than things that I don't like about him. He does lean more libertarian than conservative. And I don't usually call out libertarians, because at the end of the day, they do, like us, stand for the Constitution and liberty. However, when talking about foreign policy and foreign affairs, this is where I start to get a little hostile towards libertarians, and more specifically, Rand Paul. Rand Paul was recently on MSLSD. And what he did was he blamed the GOP for the rise of ISIS. He was on the Morning Joe, or as I call it, the Morning Joke, with Joe Scarborough. And he said that hawks inside of his own party are responsible for the rise of ISIS. And as infuriating as that comment is to you and me, that mentality runs rampant through the libertarians in this country. Listen to this audio from MSNBC. Here's Rand Paul.
But I think what you need to do is, I would recognize the Kurds. I would give them weapons. I would take all the weapons that are rotting in Afghanistan and give them to the Kurds. But I would do simultaneously as I would get a peace treaty between the Kurds and the Turks. And I would say, look, the Kurds, you've got to give up any pretensions to any territory in Turkey. Turkey, let's go ahead and get along and let's together wipe out ISIS. Also, Assad does really need to leave. When Assad leaves, there needs to be a government that we could support. Right now, there are 1,500 groups, many of them bad people, including ISIS, that hawks in our party have been arming.
A guy that works very closely with John McCain is going to be running against you. We think he's going to be a heat-seeking random missile through the entire campaign. Lindsey Graham would say ISIS exists because of people like Rand Paul, who said, let's not go into Syria.
And
what do you say to Lindsey?
I would say it's exactly the opposite. ISIS exists and grew stronger because of the hawks in our party who gave arms indiscriminately, and most of those arms were snatched up by ISIS. These hawks also wanted to bomb Assad, which would have made ISIS's job even easier. They created these people. ISIS is all over Libya because these same hawks in my party loved Hillary Clinton's war in Libya. They just wanted more of it. But Libya is a failed state. It's a disaster. Iraq really is a failed state. We're a vassal state now of Iran. So everything that they've talked about in foreign policy, they've been wrong about for 20 years, and yet they have somehow the gall to keep saying and pointing fingers otherwise.
All right, two things here. First of all, the majority of Republicans and conservatives in this country did not support intervening in Syria. We did not intervene, or we weren't on board with getting involved in their civil war. I spoke out heavily against this when it was going on. You can look in my archives. The episode is called Serious About Syria. I was very much against going into Syria. And so too were many conservatives. And yet he's saying that these guys, the GOP, was all for going into Syria and taking out and bombing Assad. That's not necessarily true, Rand. Second of all, what you call Hillary Clinton's war in Libya. We don't like war, sir. No one likes war. We're not warmongers. We don't like going in and killing for the sake of killing. No one likes war. But we do what needs to be done. Rand Paul and the libertarians are non-interventionalists. I am not. I am not. I believe that if there are threats around the world, wherever they may come from, threats that threaten our safety, the safety of our government and our liberty, then we find these people who are making these threats and we take them out. You get these people saying, whoa, we can't police the world. We're not policing the world. We're defending our freedom. We're making sure that we don't get attacked. Rand Paul seems to believe that if we just stepped away, that if we didn't intervene in the Middle East at all, then ISIS wouldn't exist. That thinking, folks, is preposterous. Utterly ridiculous. If we just stepped away, everything would be fine. The conservatives didn't want war, everything would be fine. Let me tell you something, Rand. And all you libertarians and all you non-interventionalists. ISIS exists because America does too. That's it. ISIS exists because we exist too. They don't hate the fact that we're intervening in the Middle East. They hate us because we are Americans. Regardless of whether or not we sit on our asses and do nothing, or go in there with tanks and bomb the place, they're going to come after us. They want us destroyed. Intervention or non-intervention. They want us dead. They look at us as Americans and they say, okay, we're going to kill them. And that mentality would not change no matter what. Blaming the GOP, our own party, for the rise of ISIS. No, ISIS rose up to establish a global caliphate, to come after us, to come after the West. That's the truth, Rand. That's the truth. More when I return. I'll be right back.
Jason Veely.